see the screen. Last class we quickly wrapped up. We were discussing the 8085 architecture, where we saw the different uh, okay, so this 8085 IC, it has only 40 pins. So whatever operation you want to do with this, perform with this microprocessor unit, you have only 40 pins available. So we saw all the signals that were coming from these 40 pins. We saw the address data bus, we saw the demultiplexed address data buses. We saw the various kind of control signals, that is your read, write, ALE, address latch enable, whether it is an input output memory, whether this kind of these kind of signals. We saw that there are two signals, VCC, where you are connecting 5 volt, and VSS, which you are using to ground. You saw that for the clock we need the crystal, and there are two pin 1 and pin 2, that is X1 and X2, where we are connecting either crystal oscillator, or we are connecting some LC or RC circuit, from where we can generate some kind of a frequency which will give the clock, which will give some clock signal to the microprocessor unit. And we also saw that if we need a 3 megahertz of clock pulse, then we need a 6 megahertz generation. That means my crystal or the LCRC, whichever circuit it is, it should produce a 6 megahertz kind of a signal, and that will be divided by 2, and that divided by 2 value will be used for the microprocessor unit. So we also saw these interrupt signals. We also saw that trap, RST, 7.5, 6.5, 5.5, they are interrupt signals. We also had a hold signal, which was used for the DMA. We had a ready signal, where the slow peripherals, the peripherals, when they're communicating, when if the peripheral is slow and it needs more time to to prepare itself, or to do the assigned task, then after it has completed the assigned task and it wants to again communicate with the microprocessor unit, it will let the microprocessor unit know with a ready signal, that I'm ready with my job, and now you have to take the result of my job. Okay, so that ready signal is to tell the microprocessor, okay, now again I'm ready to take the next instruction, I am already done with the role. Okay, so that ready is there. We saw that some reset things are there. If you want to reset, then this reset, start it over, then it is there. We saw that there are two ports, SOD, serial data, and SID. So these ports and the various functions of these pins, whatever whatever, like you should be able to say what that pin is doing, because ultimately you are having only 40 pins, and you have to do all operations with those 40 pins, whatever you want to do. There is nothing, you will get nothing extra from those pins. So today we will see that mm, what are the kind of signals uh, that are available with us. How is the instruction set? How is the instruction given in the microprocessor? What format we are using to write programs? Okay, so you know that there is a machine language, and there is a low level language, there is a high level language. So your C and all is a high level language, and the machine language and the assembly language are considered as low level language. Okay, these two languages are low level, and the programs are written in these languages. They are not transferable to different kinds of formats. Like if I'm writing it in C, then okay, if I'm writing it in C, then I can use it for the variety of system. But here, if I'm writing a program, then in the assembly language, then my mnemonics will be different for a 8085, for a 8086. So I have to use different mnemonics to write those programs. Okay, so that is how it is different from the high level program. The same program will not go for different systems available with us. You all are very well conversant with the high level programs, and you can do programming in various high level languages. So now we will see what is this assembly language. Okay, assembly language is a medium of communication with a computer, in which computers are written in mnemonics. Okay, so So they're saying that we have an assembly language. So these are written in mnemonics. Okay, and these mnemonics are used to communicate. These mnemonics are used to communicate with the uh, computer. Okay, and these assembly language is specific to a given computer. So these are specific to a given computer. That means if my micro MPU is microprocessor unit is 8085, then I there is a different set of mnemonic, and if it is 8086, it is a different set of mnemonic. So the mnemonics are different for different computers. Let us go through this. So assembly language is using hexadecimal. In the first class, we discussed all different kinds of number systems. We saw binary, octal, hexadecimal. So here we are using the hexadecimal code. You will always see there is a H written, 32H. So that is the H is for the hexadecimal part. Okay. So why? Because using hexadecimal code is easier than entering binary combination. In binary, we will have to write, if I am writing 3H, then in binary for 3, I have to write 101 and or 0011, and for H, sorry, there's no H in hexadecimal. 3F, then we have to write 1111. So we have to write 80101 combination. But if we are using hexadecimal, we will write 3F. So that becomes a little easier for us to write. And symbolic code for these instructions. So these instructions are given in mnemonics. Okay. So what is this mnemonic? So mnemonics for each instruction is a group of letters that suggests the operation. That means here we are seeing MOV ADD. Okay, we are seeing that it is the instruction is MOV. The mnemonic is MOV. The mnemonic is MOV. That means it is move. ADD. It is add. Okay, so it is telling me what to do. So move CA. Okay. Mm. If I'm writing, that means I'm moving the contents of this accumulator to this register C. We saw there are B, C, D, E, H, L. Okay, there were 6 registers, 8-bit registers in the microprocessor. So when I'm writing in my assembly language, move C A, that means I'm moving the contents of the accumulator to C. When I'm writing add B, then what I'm saying, add the contents of the B to the accumulator. If you remember this accumulator A, whatever mathematical logical operation we are doing, A is one of them. Okay, and the result is also stored in the accumulator. So add B. So though only one register is specified here, the implicit is the accumulator, because whatever addition has to take place, it has to be between from the register with the accumulator, from the memory to the accumulator has to be there. So we are writing these mnemonics to help us understand easily, but these mnemonic set will differ from MPU to MPU. Okay, all 8085 will have the same, but the others will be different. So mnemonics and opcode. What is the mnemonic and what is the opcode? So suppose I'm writing 3C in hexadecimal. Then I'm writing 0011 and C is 1100 in binary. So, but in hexadecimal it is only 3C. So it is easy for us to write in hexadecimal. So the opcode, this is the opcode, and its mnemonic is 3C is the opcode. Okay, the 3C is the opcode, operational code, and its mnemonic is the mnemonic is INR. That means increment the accumulator. Here INR 3C. Okay, INR A we will write. INR A means increment the contents of the accumulator. So, but we will not write INR A. We will write the opcode 3C, which says that okay, increase the microprocessor will understand. So A is the operand and the opcode is 3C and the mnemonic is the INR, and the instruction, we will see how the instructions goes. Similarly, here if it is 80H, okay, so 80H is my opcode, add is the mnemonic, and the operand is B. Operand means here on which the action is taking place. Okay, so Motorola.
And some student want to join.
Okay, So this machine language.
Ma'am, can you please go back to the previous slide?
Yes, tell me.
Yes, ma'am. As you said that 3C here is the opcode, right?
Hmm.
And that corresponds to INR in the first example.
INR, yeah.
It is the mnemonic. It is actually the opcode, right? But we are writing 3C instead.
Yes.
Okay, I
Okay. So
understand.
we will just go to the, we will see types of instruction. There again, lot examples. I have put some examples for you to write. And in the book also, you will get lot of all these mnemonics and opcodes, everything will be given. Okay. So you will be able to understand. Okay. Now then, how are the instructions given? This one. So then what is the type of instruction? So this instruction machine language is your binary language. But I'm writing in assembly language. I'm writing it in mnemonics. Okay. And high level is the English words transferable to different kinds of machine languages. This is known to us. So opcode is the task to be performed. Okay. What I'm going to perform, opcode, the task to be performed. Operand is the data to be operated in. What data I need to operate in, opcode and operand. And mnemonics is the combination of letters to suggest the operation of an instruction. So here I've put some examples. See, move is the opcode. Then CA, that means move the contents of the accumulator to C. The binary code is this 0100 and 1111, and the hex code is 47H for this whole instruction. Okay. So 4F means the hex code 4F means the MPU knows that I have to move the contents of accumulator to my register C. It is known to the microprocessor unit. Again, then how will it be different? See, if I'm giving move the BA is my operand. You see the hex code has changed now. 47H it has become. So it is unique. When I need to move it to C, it is 4F. If I need to move it to B from the accumulator, it is 47H. Okay, so these are all unique codes. So like how is it done? I have a table here with you, which I will try to write and share. So let us see if they are saying there is a code like this. Okay, this is for my instruction move. Okay, copy from source to destination, move, MOV. That means the meaning is move. What I'm doing, I'm not moving, I'm just copying. Copying from source to destination. So I'm just copying the contents of the accumulator to the destination. Okay. So if I say move B C, if I say move B C, okay, that means if my B had a content of 72H and if my C had a content of 11H, then this 11H will just be copied to content of B. So the after this operation is done, this 11H will be again found in my register B. So it will just be copying the content of C into B. So how is the instruction different? Okay, let us see. Quickly we will try. So this is B, C, D, E, H, L. M is the memory, okay, and A. So this is my source location. Say this is my source location. And my destination is here. And it is B, C, D, E, H, L, M, A again. Okay. B, C, D, E, H, L, M, A. So now how I'm just showing you that the instructions are different. Okay, nothing else here. So it is like this. It is 40. Let me just copy some. I will not copy the whole table. 48, 50, 58. There it is 41, 42. E is 43. H 44, 45, 46, 47. And this is 49. 4A, 4B, 4C, 4D, 4E, 4F. Okay. So there are various values for all the combinations. So here also there are values and here also there are values. So if I'm moving it from move from say D to C, from D to C if I'm moving, then this is my 4A. This is my this will be my opcode. It is already put there. So for every register that I'm shifting, that opcode, my opcode is opcode. I'm sorry, not the opcode. My hexadecimal code is different for this opcode move. But if my source and destination registers are changing, then every the instruction, the hexadecimal format is changing for all of them. So that is how it is operating. So here again, if we see, then what is happening? Move CA. So it is 4FH. Okay. Move BA, contents of accumulator A to B. It is 47H. So if it is DA, it will be again something different. So for every when the operands are changing, then your hex code is changing, even though the opcode is the same. So these are unique set of instructions. Okay. Initially, the programmers used to memorize in the 1970s when this 8085 came into the market. But now these are all available. So you can refer your books also while writing the program. But for whatever exam purpose and all, you need to memorize it. So this is add B. That means the addition has to be done with the register. So A is implicit here. A is understood, then the other register in this operation is A. Then this is complement A. Complement all the contents of register of the accumulator. That means if it is 00001111, it will be complemented to 11110000. And the binary code and the hex code is given for the same. So this is the opcode, operand, and mnemonics. Okay. So instructions can be a 1-byte instruction, 2-byte instruction, and a 3-byte instruction. What we saw here is.
Ma'am, can you explain what is happening in add B?
Okay, add B. See here, move CA. Okay, add B. Whatever logical or mathematical operation you are doing, addition, subtraction, and or complement, whatever operation you are doing, it has to be done. One participant is the accumulator, and that is standard. Okay, and the result is also stored in the accumulator. That is also standard. Whatever, if you're adding addition, add, then the addition add DA. So addition will happen between D and A, or between the contents of a memory location and A. But the accumulator has to be there. Without the accumulator, these functions will not take place. So we are writing add B. We are specifying the register B. But the register A is there. It is implicit. It is there. Where with whom will be add its contents? It will add its contents with the accumulator only. It will not do it with anybody else. And the result of this addition will also be stored in the accumulator. Okay, this is standard. It will not change. This will happen that this addition operation, subtraction operation, and or any logical operation. We had seen the types of operations that are taking place in the microprocessor. So these will also happen that way only. So that is implicit. Like CMA, complement. Complement what? It will complement the contents of the accumulator A. Nothing is given here. It is only CMA. So that is the accumulator where the operation is taking place. And the hex code for that is 2FH. Okay. So these are all 1 byte instructions. There are some instructions which are 2 byte, like MVI. This is move immediate. Okay. 32H will be put into this content in the accumulator A. This is a 2 byte instruction. The operand is the data is 32H, and where I am putting it into A. Okay, I can put immediate to B also, to C also. I can do some memory location also. I can put, okay, the contents. So MVI is a 2 byte instruction. Move immediately.
Ma'am, in the previous example where you are written C and A, means the value of C is overwritten by A.
No, I said in that slide. Just a second. Here, I said move B, C. Move the contents of C into the register B here. In this example, move B, C. So move the content of C into B. So move BA means move content of accumulator into B.
Means ma'am, B contains both the value of B itself and C
no,
also.
How will it contain? Any data is a 8-bit data. Okay, so if B had 72H and C had 11H, okay, these were the two values that were there in register B and register C. Now you have given this instruction, move the contents of C into B. So 11H will go to B. Where 72H will go, we don't know. It will get erased if you have not moved 72H somewhere else before. If you want,
can you please explain this part where you have written this BCDEHL MA and generated these numbers? How are these numbers generated?
It is given. It is given. It is the 8085 Intel. They are providing you with this sheet. I am also copied it from the book to this page. Okay, I have just seen it from the book. This table.
Ma'am,
yes?
What's it called? This
I can't.
Ma'am, what is it called? This table.
This is not a table. This is given in the form of a table in the book for us to understand. But these are codes, you know, your hexadecimal codes, like we are saying here. Here, see, when I'm telling move CA. So for that, the hexadecimal code is 4F, right? So if I go here, CA, see here the code is 4F, you see?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is for your ready reference. Like if you want to write move, you are from L to, now I have written it, whatever I have written, let's say to your DE, L to say I want to copy to C because it is written here, okay. I want to copy the contents from L to C. Source, this is the source, okay, and this is the destination. This is your destination. From where you are copying to where you are copying. So if I am moving from L to C, so see in this table, in this table you will find in any book, anywhere. Okay, L, it is for L and C. So it will be 48. L and C, it will be 44D. So your hexadecimal code will be 4D. So if you are writing 4D, then the MPU will understand, okay, I have to copy the contents of register L into register C. If you have to content copy of register H into C, if you are doing it for H and C, then your hexadecimal code is for C. So this hexadecimal code itself will tell the MPU what it has to do. Okay. So So it is unique for every operation. It is unique for every operation. Let me MVI. Just a second.
Ma'am, I have a question. Like any instruction set consists of two parts, the opcode and the operand. So how does this information, the hexadecimal code, where is it placed?
These are all stored in memory location. Now, just immediately after that, we will see what happens with all these codes, how we are doing the operation in the microprocessor. Today's class only, hopefully, I will be able to do it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, just hold on a little bit. Okay, so this is the move thing that is going on. So instruction can be of 2 bytes also. So see, MVI, this is immediate. You are putting the content is 32H, the data, and you want to put it into the accumulator. So there are 2 hex codes for it. The first is 3E. 3E is telling me that I need to immediately move the contents into the accumulator. 3E is to move content into the accumulator. What content I am moving is the second, is 32. It is a 2 byte instruction. Okay. Similarly, it can be a 3 byte instruction also. Okay. It is load accumulator, LDA. And here, the contents are in 2050H. That means it is in a memory location. And the address of the memory location is 2050. Okay. So, the contents of that memory location has to come here. This instruction is saying. So, here 3A means I have to LDA, whatever that is saying. It is load the accumulator. And what will I load? Where is the data? It is in this memory location, which is 2050. So first is 50, then is 20. It is coming. So that is how it is happening. All these instructions are there. 2 byte instruction and 3 byte instruction. So instructions are three types. 1 byte, 2 byte and 3 byte instructions. So suppose, no, addition of 2 number is wrong. Okay. I wanted to give some example which I did not give. So see, I have written, I have tried to sort out something. MVI A32H. We saw with move how this thing was different. It is 3E and 32H. Where 32H is the data. And then again I am saying MVI B. Now I want to load register B. With what I want to load? Data. Data is 48H. So the first is the hexadecimal code is 606. The 06 means it will go to B. 3E means it was going to A. Okay. And 48 means is my data. Okay. So this data will 48H is now moving into my register B. These are all 8-bit registers. So your data cannot be more than 8-bit. If there is some carry being generated, we saw all that flag. You remember? Sign, parity, 0, carry, auxiliary carry. All that flags we have seen and the functions of those flags also we have seen. Add B. That means it performs the addition to store result in the accumulator. It performs the addition. Addition with the accumulator, content of the accumulator. And it is also storing the result in the accumulator. Then I have instructions for display also. Out 01H. That means display the result or the content of the accumulator at port 1. Whatever input or output devices will be there, they will be designated by ports. Okay, so this is port 1, port 2, port 3. That way, you will have to give it. But if you see here, this is addition is also taking place. That means if my MVI, if I am giving move, I have first loaded 32H, then B I have loaded 48H. Then I have added. Added what? Added 48H and 32H. And I have stored it in the accumulator. And I am giving the output of that addition to my port 1. And then I am saying halt. Now end the program. So this can be seen as a small program also, addition of 2 numbers, what I had written initially. So here, First, I'm storing this result 32H here. Then I'm storing this data 48H here, and then I'm adding these two. First, I'm storing 32H here, then I'm storing 48 here. I'm performing an addition of the contents of register B with the register A. So I'm doing an addition operation, and this is I'm displaying the output at the output port. This is just a small sample of how you can write small programs with the help of these instruction sets. Okay, we will see in detail. So how many addressing modes are there? What is this addressing mode? That means in how many ways can you address what has to be done. So these are of 5 types. There is direct addressing. Direct addressing means I am directly load LDA, load contents of the memory into accumulator. So LDA 2050H. So direct addressing is happening. I am directly addressing the giving the instruction that the contents of the memory location 2050H has to come to this accumulator. Then I can do register addressing also, like move ACE. That means I'm moving the contents of C into A. This is register addressing. Then there is another type, that is indirect register addressing. That means I'm addressing it with the memory location. That is move BM. M is the memory location. Move the content of the memory location to the register B pair BC. Memory location is 16-bit. So from there I have to come to this register pair. Now it is a 16-bit. So we had 6 register B, C, D, E, H, L, and we had discussed that there are 3 register pairs, BC, DE and HL. That is the combination here. So when I am moving the contents of a memory location, which is a 16-bit data, then I need a register pair to move it, because there are 16 bits and each register will take only 8 bit. So I need a 16 bit. Therefore, I am addressing a register pair. Okay, so you are saying B means the register pair is BC. Another pair is DE. Another pair is HL. And any other combination will not go. Then another mode of addressing is the immediate mode. That is, we saw move immediate. Like B, move immediate to B 92H. Data 92H, I want to move immediately to my register B. And there is another implicit addressing, CMA, where we saw complement A. Like complement the contents of the register. So if the register A is, like I said, for simple understanding, 00001111, you will just complement. You will make it 11110000. So that is your complement will happen. Okay. So this is this regarding your types of how many types of instructions are there and what is the addressing mode. So these two you should be clear. Then what does the microprocessor do with all this? With all this, the microprocessor is communicating. So how is it communicating? There are timings, okay, and there are different kinds of signals that go into the operations. Now we know now, okay, all are 8 bits and 16 bits. All that is clear with us. We also know there is something called a program counter. So the program counter will decrease 1 count every time, and the stack pointer will point to the memory location where the instruction is being done. And there are registers and register pairs which are 8-bit and the memory location is 16-bit. Our data bus is a 16-bit data bus, and our data bus is a 8-bit data bus, and our address bus is a 16-bit address bus. All these things we have seen. Just a second. So then we will see, we have seen what is the output, we have seen what is the operand. So to perform any task, first the microprocessor unit needs to know what it is supposed to do, what is expected. So what it is supposed to do is given in the top code: add, move, rotate, jump. All these instructions are there in the opcode. Okay. So then how will it fetch the opcode? It has to bring it to the instruction decoder to understand what has to be done. Okay. So suppose my instruction is move CA, move the contents of accumulator A in C. But this whole thing is stored. This instruction is stored in the memory location 2005H. Okay, so this instruction is there. So first I have to identify the memory location. Then enable the data flow from the memory into the instruction decoder, where the instruction decoder will understand. Okay, so this is called the fetch cycle. And there are many machine cycles that will be required to do this operation. So we know that the microprocessor places the 16-bit memory address from the program counter to the address bus. Because what the program counter is doing, after every instruction is taking place, the program counter is reducing by 1. So the program counter knows where the next is. So this 16-bit memory address is taken from the program counter to the address bus. Program counter is a 16-bit. Let us go. You remember this? We had discussed in the last class, right? That there is accumulator, there is flag, there are 6 registers B, C, D, E, H, L. There is a program counter which is 16-bit. There is a stack pointer which is 16-bit. This we had discussed in the last class. Okay. Okay. So the microprocessor will first identify what is the address where it has to go, so that it will be able to identify from the program counter. Then it has to read, okay, it has to read the content of that memory location. So it will need the control signal read. We had seen read, write, address latch enable, these control signals were there in the pin diagram, in the architecture of the 8085. So it will need that read signal. Then once it reads what is there in the in that memory location, that has to be placed on the data bus. That information has to come to us. So the byte from the memory is placed into the data bus. And that data is brought into the instruction decoder. So the instruction decoder, as the name is saying, will decode the instruction. And then the task is carried out according to this instruction. So this whole cycle is called the fetch cycle. First it will identify which memory, then it will read the contents of the memory. It is similar to your getting a courier. They will see the address, okay, they will come, they will give it to you, you will then do whatever you want with it. It is a similar type of a process flow. First it will go to that memory, it will read the content of the memory, then it will put that memory content into the data bus. Now that memory content has to come. Where it will come? It will come to the instruction decoder. The instruction decoder will say, okay, this is the instruction and the task will be carried out. So this again I have you can see it, it is visible clearly. This is visible what?
Yes.
Okay. So here there is a program counter. See, there is a program counter. This is my first. So here this is the program counter. First, what the program counter is doing? The program counter is putting the address here. So my address. First, I'm going to the program counter. Here I'm putting the address in the address bus. This address bus is going now to this. Here, this is my memory location 2025. Okay, this is my memory location. So it has identified now. My memory location has been identified. The program counter is told which is the memory. So that memory address has been put on the address bus and it has come to that memory location. Now in this memory location, it sees there is a data. What is there is a data which is 4F. Okay. So that means 4F was, we saw what was 4F. 4F was move A to C. Okay. Move from A to C. So it is saying, okay, there is my instruction 4F is placed here. It is stored in the hexadecimal format. So now it has read this 4F. Okay. So after reading, this is my data bus. This is my data bus. So it has put this information 4F into the data bus. Now the data bus, see, it is carrying here. Here, this 4F information is put here. So my information 4F has come. Where it is come? It is going to the instruction decoder here. The instruction decoder. Okay. This instruction decoder is decoding what is to be done and accordingly it is moving. It is carrying out this operation. Move the content of the accumulator to C. Internally, when you are writing this code, move CA, or you are giving a hexadecimal instruction 4FH, all this is happening within the microprocessor. First, it is going to the program counter, taking the address. It is going to this location where 4F is stored. That it is reading. See, another read signal is going here again. So it is telling, okay, go and read what is there in that memory location. Otherwise, we will not know. And after reading, it is putting it here on the data bus. On the data bus, 4FH is put. It is coming to the instruction decoder. This instruction decoder is reading and it is saying, okay, now it is time that I need to add the contents of the memory to the contents of the register. Okay. So this is how this thing is happening. Okay, save as. Cycle. But how is it happening? In the signal. What signal is going? Okay. Oh, I need.
And what is doing control logic? Ma'am, you are not audible. Your mic is off.
Okay, I'm audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
You are putting um, The instruction code is move CA. Okay, now that instruction is stored in your memory location 2005. That is your memory location where this instruction is stored. Either you will write it through the keyboard instruction, or it will be stored in a memory. That is only two way you can give it instruction. So if it is stored in the memory, how is the MPU unit reading that instruction? How will you instruct the MPU to do something? Either you will give an input, immediately you will write and you will expect it to do some work, or your instruction is stored somewhere. And the microprocessor unit, you have written a program, you have stored your program in some memory location there. Here you are doing memory mapping. Okay, we have done memory mapping, how you are addressing all the memories. Because it is not like I am taking my laptop and I am writing. And it is happening. That is your high level program. But now you are doing low level. You are doing assembly language programming. So you know everything, where it is there, which memory location it is there. You are able to manipulate all these small things also here. If you want to change the memory location, you can change the memory location. If you want, which addresses, which memory addresses you want to use, you can change it as per the programmer's wish. So here your instruction is stored at 2005. That is the memory address. So the program counter tells after every instruction is executed, the program counter reduces by 1. The program counter will reduce 1 count. So if it is 2005, now after my instruction is executed, the program counter will go to 2004. So the next memory address the program counter knows is 2004. Because we had said in the earlier classes that if there is a stack of memory, we had said like this, we had written, drawn. Okay. We had said that it is like a book shelf. Okay. And each is a memory location. So whenever we are starting something, we will like to start it from here. From the first on top one, topmost, and then we will like to go downwards. Generally, that is how they want to do. So the program counter will reduce every time. The program counter will reduce. So the program counter knows which memory address it is going. And after reading the 4F, your instruction is stored. Here it is going to the instruction decoder. Okay, and the instruction decoder is reading. This is now in block diagram you are seeing. What signals are now going? We will see. Okay, so now you see. That was move. And the memory location was 2005. Okay, this was what it was all in total. I am just reading what is there in the memory location. This is my fetch cycle. It is fetching the instruction. So here you see the T1, T2, T3, T4. These are the small machine cycles that are there. My clock is going. See, we have generated a clock using the crystals there. So my now clock is there. Okay. Now there is a clock. The clock will tell me what is to be done. We had X1, X2. We had connected the crystal or the RCLC 3 megahertz signal. Now we have generated a clock. Okay. So there is a clock. I know when it is going high, when it is going low. So here it is my A15 to A8. A15 to A8. Now these are the AD. A15 to A8. See, A15 to A8. These are all demultiplexed. Okay. Sorry. A0 to A7, this is the demultiplexed. Okay, so it is sometimes used as address and sometimes used as data. And A8 to A15 is always used as address. Okay, so this is the higher order memory address, they are calling it. Okay, they are calling it higher order memory address. And this AD7 to AD0. Sometimes it is used as address, sometimes used as data bus. So they are calling it low order memory address. Low order memory address. Okay. So now you have this high order and the low order memory address. Now you have to put the data here. Okay. You have to put the you have to you will have to extract this information 4FH which is there. Okay. Here it is the high order memory address. So it is always addressing as memory. Here I am putting 20H. Okay. So my 20H I have put 8 bits I have taken care of. And this is another 8 bits. So I will put it here in the low order. Okay. And see what is happening. Now it is used as address bus. At this point of time, this is also address bus. And this is also address bus. And you see how there was another signal ALE. You remember, we had discussed. Slash enable. This was the address latch enable. It was used for AD7 to AD0. That means this signal ALE is deciding whether it is an address bus or it is a data bus. How I am using it. Here I have put it on a high. That means I am using it as an address bus. This signal ALE is high. That means I am using it as an address bus. So my address is there. Then it has gone to that address 2025, like we saw in the previous slide. It has now gone to my address. It has gone to my address here 2005. It has gone to this address. And what does it want to do? It wants to now read. Okay. So see the control signal, this read. Okay. Read is low. See, read has a bar. So it is a read when it is a low level. Okay. So here it has gone low. This is a read. That means from this point to this point, the read operation is taking place. And input, output or memory, which operation? It is a memory operation, right? See, memory is low, input, output is high. So here, see, I have put that input, output as a low. That means it is a memory read. That means this is a memory operation and this is a read operation. So I am reading from the memory. So all these control signals are now behaving according to the instruction they have to read from the memory. So input, output, memory and read. All these two are low now. So now what the microprocessor is doing? First it has gone to the address. We saw the first step was it has gone to the address. The first step, it has gone to the address. Second step, it has identified the memory location. And then it has put it on the data bus. So it has to read before that. Okay. So here it is reading. This read operation is going on. It is reading. And when it is reading, what it is doing? It is putting the 4FH opcode here. This opcode they are putting Now it is used as a data bus. This part is now a data bus. It is used as a data bus. How we are determining it is a data bus? See, this address slash enable has now gone low. Initially it was high, so it was used as an address bus. Then after it has identified the address, it has gone low. That now it is a data bus, AD7 to AD0. So what I have done? I have done a memory read operation. Input output memory was low, read was low. So I have done a memory read operation and I have put my data into the data bus. And this data is now going to the instruction decoder. This opcode fetch cycle is clear?
It's a bit confusing, ma'am. The
Tell-
signals part.
Tell me. Okay. Okay, S1, S0, I had said S1, S0 are two status signals. For small programs, I said these two signals are immaterial. Okay, but when you are writing more complicated programs, S1 and S0 also become very crucial. Here, both S1 and S0 are 1, 1. We are not bothered with the status signal here because our the program is writing, we are writing is very small. So both are 1 in this case. Okay, we are not much interested in these two signals. Only when the programs become more and more complicated, see, there is 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. Only 4 combination of status signals can take place. Okay, there cannot be more than these 4 combinations. Here in this case, in this fetch cycle for move, both are 1, 1. Okay, and if we have time, then we will discuss how this is affecting. We will not go into the discussion for the status signal S1 and S0. Okay, see, there are, I need a little bit more space. Just hold. Okay. The first is I have to identify memory. Okay. Identify memory. So my memory location is 2005. So I need my 16-bit address bus. Okay. To identify the memory. So I have data bus A8 to A15. This is always address, and AD7 to AD0. Sometimes this is an address bus and sometimes this is a data bus. So how will I make it an address bus or a data bus? I will use the signal ALE, address latch enable. I've written it on this side. This is address latch enable. So if my address latch enable is high, then this is a address bus. And if it is low, then this is a data bus. This much is correct? Here you see. First what I have seen, we have put A15 to A8. So this is high order. We have put our one memory address 8-bit. And here ALE signal is high. So this I am using it as a address bus. So I have put the other 8 bits of memory here. So once this address job is done, once this has gone from the program counter to this memory location, okay, which is happening here, it is going This address bit I have sent, it has gone to that memory location. I have sent the address of that memory location using the address bus. Then what is happening? Address operation is over. You see the ALE is coming down. Now, this is a data bus. Now, when it is low, this is a data bus. So, it is D7 to D0. So, here it is, this part, it is acting as a data bus. At this page, at this part, it is acting as a data bus. Now, because my address slash enable has gone low here. Correct? So address slash enable is helping me to understand whether it is a address bus or whether it is a data bus for the low order AD7 to AD0 or AD0 to AD7. These are demultiplexed. That means sometimes it is address, sometimes it is data. We have to do this because there are only 40 pins, and whatever operation we want to do, we have to do it in those 40 pins only. The second thing is, now I am reading it from the memory. Here I am reading it from the memory. Okay. So from where all can my MPU read? My MPU can. So my MPU can read operation can happen. Read operation can happen either from the input output or from the memory. Is there a third place from where I can read or write? No. So I have another signal, input output or memory. This is another control signal. This control signal was also there. Input output memory. See here, pin number 34. Input output or memory. Okay. So now we have another control signal, input output or memory. We can classify. See, memory is low. Okay, so if it is low, then it is a memory operation. If the signal is high, then it is an input output operation. So here you see, now it is a memory operation. So my input output on memory has gone low. Input output memory is 0. It has gone low level. Okay. So that means my MPU knows it is a memory operation. What memory operation it has to do? It has to do a read memory operation. So then I have another signal, that is read. This is also active low. Okay. So see, this read signal has gone low. So then it is a memory read operation. So in that 2005, what is there? There is 4F. This is the data that is lying in that memory address, like we had seen here also. There is 4F. This is the address that is lying in that memory. Clear? So it is putting that in this data bus. Where will it put that address? Whatever the content is there, it will put in the data bus. The data bus will carry it to the instruction decoder. Now, all these 40 pins are connected, but only in my input output memory, read and ALE, these are the signals that are being generated, control signals that are being generated for this operation. Rest all the signals are not doing anything, they're just sitting as it is. Okay, they're just sitting as it is. Only these signals are being used by the control unit to do the operation, to do the fetch cycle, and this data is being fetched. This is clear now? I have been able to make it clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I had another, how will you execute this? But I don't think I will be able to do it. Let me. Okay, so it goes there. Now, if in case it has both the opcode and the operand, till now we saw that it has only the opcode. We just fetched the opcode. But there has to be an operand also. Like if I am doing MVI B32H, we saw if opcode and operand. So MVI B32H. So 32H is my data and there is an opcode for MVI B. So there are 2 bytes. What was MVI B? Okay, MVI A let us do. So let us do MVI A. So here the first is 3E and then the 32H. So we now know how to take out the opcode. We have seen that opcode we have taken out. Now how do we do this 32H part? Okay. So okay, then it is saying MVI B43H. So here so my instruction was
Not visible clearly.
okay, hold on. Let me see if I can. Looks better. It looks a little better. Okay, don't worry. I will write. Uh, the instruction is MVI. I will write on this, so don't worry. I will write what is written. MVI B, and it was 43H. Okay, so my opcode was 06H and 43H. Okay, so first I have to take out this opcode. So we have seen while taking out this opcode, first it is, and it is stored in memory location. What are the memory location? 20 and this 20 01. These are the memory locations where it is stored. Okay. So the first we have just discussed. This is the fetch cycle. We have just discussed this. Okay, first we have put 20 here and 0H here. So this was my address bus. Where I have put the low order 0H. See, address slash enable has gone high for here and then low. Input output memory has gone low and read has gone low. So I have put my 06H here and I have taken it to my instruction decoder. This is what we discussed just now. Okay. Now the next is I have to go to this memory location 2001H and fetch 43H. That is my data that is being stored. Okay, the first was the operand 06H, and next in 2001 the content 43H is there, that has to be fetched. Then for the next, here the opcode fetch is 4. Okay, T1, T2, T3, T4, and memory read is T1, T2, T3. 3 cycles are there in memory read, and opcode fetch is 4 cycles. So for every operation that you are doing, the number of cycles will be different. This machine and clock cycles that are going here, all that will be different. Some will be 3, some will be 4, some can be 5, 6, 7, whatever. Okay, so here again I am using that same thing. 20H is my memory address, and 01 is again my memory address. For the 2001 is the memory address. Where my data 43H is stored. And again you see the address slash enable has gone high because I have to use the AD0, AD7 as an address bus. Once I have reached that memory location, again this signal has gone low. Okay. And again, when I am reading, this read has gone low. This is again the input output memory. So it is now input output memory is low. So this is input output from the memory. I am doing a read operation. 43H is being put here. Okay. And here the status is S1 equal to 1 and S0 equal to 0. This status part I don't have time today. In the next class, I will discuss the status signal. So in the next class, we will just quickly start with this and we will end it with something else. Okay. So this again we will revise. This cycle that we were doing, we will see how much time it is taking, what is the time that is going to do this operation in microsecond, and how we are calculating the time also. That also we will see. So for today's class, I think I will leave you, and the only thing that I want to say is please read it so that when we are discussing in this